If you follow my work, you'll know I have a long-held fascination with comedy double act Cannon and Ball. I was a huge fan of the pair as a kid, even paying tribute as an 8-year-old with an improvised skit during an end-of-term talent show. Although, by virtue of my mate having a pair of braces with Rock on Tommy printed on them, I was relegated to the less fun role of Tommy Cannon. And it's easy to see why they appealed so much to the young me, with Bobby Ball as the relatable child, his cartoonish mop of curls and red braces, like a snappy little terrier, opposite Cannon's exasperated father figure. And has anyone ever seemed less comedian-like than Tommy Cannon? Like someone's old fella took a wrong turn back from the toilets and ended up on stage. Even as a straight man, he had the air of a bloke who'd just stubbed out a roll-up with his heel and was about to give you a good shoeing. Forever grabbing at each other's lapels, their entire act was predicated on the constant, simmering threat of violence. If it all kicked off, I reckon I might have been able to handle Bobby, but Tommy, he'd have left me bleeding in the gutter with a signet ring mark in my cheek. Christ, just look at him. Imagine that calling to you from a storm drain. As with most comedians of the time, Tom and Bob took the regular route as singers/comics, honing their routines in rough working men's clubs before television came calling. Like other greats, such as Laurel and Hardy, Morecambe and Wise, and Brutus the Barber Beefcake, they even had their own theme tune. And it's a fucking banger.
Play me a tune, sing me a song, and we can have this life along. Just you and me, come on, sing together, we'll be okay. I said, rock on, Tommy, dance to a tune that this guitar sings.
You make that the new national anthem and instantly heal our fractured nation. Their long-running series, The Cannon and Ball Show, began on ITV in the summer of 1979. It's this that I'll be breaking down, episode by episode, until either you or I can't stand it anymore. Alright, let's get into this. There's that beautiful LWT logo. It starts with their theme song, as you'd expect. But these are some weird-ass opening titles. Tommy's playing golf in the city, knocking his ball into a sea lion's mouth at the zoo and whatnot, while Bobby's walking around with a fishing rod, casting into fountains and off Waterloo Bridge. There's a strangely maudlin quality to some of the shots, like the video for a ballad about heartbreak. But it's packed with visual gags, essentially a sketch in itself that you're forced to sit through every week. They come out wearing the same clothes from the titles, as if they've just walked there, which is great, and onto a minimalist set. Bobby's hat stand tips over to symbolise that he is the chaotic one, or that he's got dick problems. Now to me, there's one phrase that symbolises classic British variety, and the lads bring it out immediately.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
But you are. I'm talking to the ladies and gentlemen seriously. And you're laughing.
Lovely stuff. Although at this stage it's yet to devolve into the full.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Give it time. Straight out of the gate, the opening routine really sets out the stall for the Cannon and Ball brand.
Well, don't start, you, right?
Start what?
Before you start, don't start. Okay?
Start what?
Can you never be serious? Hey,
What sort?
can you... I mean, look at you laughing now.
Tommy wants to get serious while Bobby's arsing about. Basically just a couple of blokes arguing, which used to happen on telly rather than Twitter. Bobby's dialogue here consists almost entirely of 2 words, which I suspect they're trying to seed as a catchphrase.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. Well, I'm not laughing.
Yeah?
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm not doing anything. I'm not. You are. I'm not. Well, I'm not.
We shan't have come, me.
I'm not. I'm not. I know I'm not. Well, I'm not. I just know I'm not.
But here's a momentous thing.
God, atmosphere.
The Cannon and Ball Show's inaugural proper joke.
Tommy, do you about that Vincent van Gogh? Do you remember him?
Yeah, painter.
That famous painter?
That's right.
Did you know this? He cut his ear off, you know, and gave it to his girlfriend. And she said, thank you. He said, you what?
Our first proper sketch takes us to a police station, an incendiary setting for current times. And what's Bobby been up to? Shoplifting? Defacing Churchill's statue with a pair of braces? God, I hope he's not been picked up by one of those online vigilante groups. Just listen to the cheer that goes up when they see a familiar face from on the buses. He's so surprised he talks over the applause, though they drop the audio out as Bobby signals for him to take the line again.
What have we got here? A couple of winos?
I don't know if anyone else finds this stuff interesting, but it's always fascinating to me to see the process, to see the join. A lot of old comedy shows did these long, single-take sketches in front of an audience. Consequently, unless it was a major mistake, they just ploughed on through. The story is, Bobby's been nicked for busking, which does give us a good line.
I nicked this one for busking in Oxford Street.
Yeah, it was his fault. I'd have got away if he hadn't made me carry the piano.
But unfortunately, he fits the wanted posters and descriptions of...
He answers the description of the Neasden knicker pincher.
It's packed with gags like this.
Bobby Ball. Occupation.
I'm a bouncer. Bobby Ball, bouncer, do you get it?
And this.
Listen, something's afoot.
12 inches.
They also do that thing where they get a joke out of something by not knowing what a word means. But in this case, the word is alibi.
Got an alibi?
Alibi? What's an alibi, Tommy?
Oh, don't ask me.
No, I haven't got an alibi. I've got a veruca you can look at.
They don't know what alibi
Something's
means.
afoot.
12 inches.
Eventually, it all falls apart and they start pissing about.
If you're a sergeant, you've got people to look as much like Bobby as possible.
I am positive.
Don't get to cocky.
Plus, there's more of this.
I'm not.
You are.
I'm not.
You definitely are.
I'm not.
They offer to do some of their act for the policemen to prove their innocence. Typical white privilege. Speaking of, the joke here is that Bobby has to take part in an identity parade with 6 other blokes who look just like him. And here we go.
Oh, come on. This is unfair.
Bloody hell. One episode in and we're going to have to cancel them already. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Socks on coming.
Socks on coming.
Socks on coming.
Socks on, Tommy.
It's a long old sketch at 8 minutes, and You're on the Buses bloke celebrates its ending with a little character-breaking wink. Note that gorgeous animated Tom and Bob in the ad bumpers. Makes me yearn for a cartoon spin-off where they're getting into adventures, with Bobby's magic braces pinging them back through time. Just check out Tommy's magnificent collar, as part 2 begins with a worm charming sketch, where Bobby forgets his lines.
Why are you dressed like that?
Like me dad, Tommy. No.
Well, like your uncle then.
No. Oh, you don't know this?
I do.
Tommy.
You forgot your line. Go on.
No.
And I can't lie, I love this stuff. Just 2 mates mucking about having a laugh.
Worm charming.
Much more joyful than the fake corpsing you get from, say, a Freddie Starr. Like he's constantly having to let you know, this next line's so funny, even I can't help myself. The final sketch sees the pair of them done up in tops and tails for a posh cocktail party. But it looks like an unsold pilot for a show called The Dracula Brothers. Whose coat-hanger did wardrobe take these off? Jack the Ripper? Incidentally, how many horse brasses does one person need? The host of the party is played by guest star...
No, I'm not an honourable.
What's her name again? Who? Oh yeah, of course. Old. The setting's weird, isn't it? It's like Hammer horror. Is it the 1970s or the 1870s?
Unusual silk. Is it
Loads of quick-fire gags of this kind of quality.
You like Miss Wade juice?
Oh, yes.
I got them in a sale. They're called Dead Dogs.
They're dogs?
The rush puppies that's been put down.
There's a black pudding which looks a bit phallic, which sets Tommy off again. Plus a joke about woke liberal language which turns out to be more offensive 40 years on.
Coloured pudding, if you please.
There's some gags about boobs.
Oh, let me introduce my cousin, Jocasta. She'll be coming out quite soon.
Oh, you must be joking, you'll never get it.
One likes to look presentable.
Both together wouldn't make one look presentable.
And what's Tommy doing here? Has he realised his flies are undone? And all the boob gags filled it up with blood? It ends up with Bobby flooding the cocktail bar, and working class Bob rebelling against the hoi polloi by corpsing again.
She's a snob. She keeps talking posh, trying to show me up.
And by the end, he's just about had it.
Can we stop for some chips on the way back? In newspaper?
So long, so long as it's The Guardian.
And of course they finish with a number. Standard. Now when I think about Cannon and Ball, it's this.
Hold it!
Tommy trying to sing, Bobby mucking it up. They bid us good night, and Tom turns out the lights. It's very thoughtful. Some more great animation here. Feeding 1p into a credit rolling machine. Everything was cheaper in those days. It's an interesting first episode, with some of the big Cannon and Ball beats already in place. The arguing, the braces. I'm very excited to see when the first pigging crops up. Right then, just another 60 odd episodes to go.